Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to start this lesson off by giving all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honors to all the brothers who are fervently preaching the word in sincerity and in faith. Shalom to the sincere Akwath. And Shalom to the scattered Israelites who are amongst these heathen nations and look like these heathens. Now this lesson is going to be based around war and three particular types of war: civil war, race war, and world war. So through the spirit, I'm going to read these AI overviews, get some precepts, and Lord's will, you are edified. So the first one is civil war. It says a civil war is a violent conflict between organized groups within the same country, often aiming to take control of the government, secure regional independence, or change policies. Unlike international wars, these occur within national borders, often resulting in high casualties and long-term political or economic devastation. And this is one of the wars that will be taking place here in America. If anybody's been paying attention, there's a lot of division amongst the people in this country, here in the U.S. These really are not the United States, because there's division amongst these states. You have the red states and the blue states. And the people within these states think differently. And a lot of people, they're verbally clashing with each other in regards to all the laws and the policies of the government. You have one side that has no problem with all the wickedness and the atrocities that the government commits, whether it's globally or upon its own people here in the U.S. And then you have the other side who is completely against what the government is doing and all these wicked laws and wicked policies. And seeing as we're in the last days, those of us of the hopeful elect who have been blessed with the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of these scriptures, and knowing that we are living in a time of war, we know that the Lord is going to cause there to be a major civil war here in the U.S. And like it says, unlike international wars, these occur within national borders, often resulting in high casualties and long-term political or economic devastation. And there will be high casualties when this civil war does take place, particularly due to the fact that so many people in this country own guns. Like, yes, you can kill people with a knife, with a hammer, with a, you can mow people down with a car, but with a gun, a lot more people, tend to get taken out a lot quicker. And all the, and then there's so many different types of guns. So when the Civil War does pop off in this country, it's going to be an absolute bloodbath. Men, women, children, the elderly, animals, everyone and everything is getting mowed down. And that'll be just one of many ways in which the Lord is going to bring judgment upon these wicked Babylonians. Okay, now we got race war. It says a race war is an ideological concept often promoted by white supremacists, envisioning an inevitable violent conflict between racial groups. says, while largely a manufactured fear-based narrative, it has historically inspired violence, such as the 1919 Red Summer and modern acts by white supremacists aiming to accelerate societal collapse. Yeah, because these Edomites, they feel like every brown person is inferior to them. And as many brothers, especially the men of the Lord, especially the apostles and elders, I should say, they have pointed out that the way that these Edomites came into power was through violence. Rape, robbery, murder, colonization, enslaving people. And they classify themselves as white because when you look up the definition of white or some of the synonyms of white, it means good and pure and holy. But yet you look at the people who call themselves white and you look at all the atrocities and crimes against humanity that they have committed to this day, and you realize that doesn't match up with that, with those synonyms at all. So-called white people are vile and disgusting and wicked. The ones who actually are so-called white people, because remember, there are Israelites who are scattered amongst them and do look like them. But for the so-called white people who are actually Edomites, there is nothing righteous or holy or good or pure about them. They are the most violent and wicked and degenerate nation on this planet. But because their whole existence, they've been told that they're better than everybody else, even though you just look throughout history and the proof shows that it's actually the other way around. That all these brown-skinned people, especially so-called black people, are far superior to so-called white people. And these so-called white people, they know that. The only way that so-called white people have ever been able to stay on top is they had to lie and cheat and put all these wicked laws in place so that brown people, especially the Israelites, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, could not, have an equal opportunity. Because the second that Esau gives us an equal opportunity, we'll surpass him. And he knows that. So he has to constantly move the goalpost, so to speak, and make it harder for us to gain any traction. But even then, because we are the Lord's chosen people, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans primarily, we are the Lord's favorite people. Even with everything that Esau constantly does to keep us down, to hold us down, to oppress us and make life difficult for us, we still manage to succeed. We still manage to do better than him and dominate in whatever field we get into. Because the Lord is going to show you who his people are. These so-called white people, they've never been better than us. And they never will be better than us. And the Lord is about to put them where they rightfully belong, which is under us. In captivity, in chains, for 1,000 years. But as we get closer to the end of Esau's rule, his reign of terror over the earth, these Edomites, they are going to lash out against so-called black people, so-called Hispanics, so-called Native Americans, the so-called Asian people. We already see they have, they're currently targeting, Muslim people. So there will also be race wars in this country very soon. We can already see the racial tension. You can feel the racial tension in this country. You can feel the racial tension in other countries where these Edomites are surrounded by brown skinned people. You see, what Esau is scared of is that the people that he overtook are going to overtake him. So he wants to wipe out all the brown skinned people, so that he can stay, the quote unquote dominant race. But the Lord is not going to allow that to happen. We are in the time of the downfall of these so-called white people. And the very same people that they're afraid of, taking over and, dominating are exactly the people who are going to do just that, all according to the will of the Lord. And there's nothing that Esau can do to stop it. Now we have world war. Says a world war is a massive, high-intensity international conflict involving most of the world's major powers, spanning multiple continents and utilizing advanced military technology. It is conventionally used to describe the global 20th century conflicts 1914 through 1918 and 1939 through 1945 that fundamentally altered international order, causing widespread catastrophic destruction. You have, it says World War One, known as the Great War. It involved major powers like Britain, Germany, Russia, and the US in a multi-front global conflict. World War II. This was the deadliest conflict in human history, featuring a global two-theater battle that included atomic warfare. And that's because that's when the US dropped those bombs on Japan. And the US is the only nation on this planet that has ever done that. No other nation has ever dropped atomic bombs on anybody. Only the US. But this third world war that we are currently in, it just hasn't gone full blown yet because most of the world's major powers have not been dragged into it. It's mostly, Israel, the US, and Iran that are involved right now. But there will be a full blown third world war, and it's going to be a nuclear war. And this nuclear war is going to surpass World War II by a long shot. At the end of World War III, America, the United States of America, is not going to exist anymore. It's going to be wiped off the face of the earth. And everyone that's still here on U.S. soil, when those missiles hit, they're going to be wiped off the face of the earth. This wicked place is running out of time. And the wicked people who rule over this place, the Edomites, the so-called white people, they are running out of time as well. Because when Esau goes down, America will follow. And we are in that time. We are in a time of war. Civil wars, race wars, and world war. One second. Esau being a demon. Salakia. Matthew 24:6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. And that's right. And currently, you have the Russia-Ukraine war. You still have Israel attacking Lebanon. You still have the whole Gaza situation going on. And you have this current U.S. Israel-Iran war going on. It says, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. And that's right, because we are currently in World War III. It just hasn't gone full blown. Major powers, or I should say, major powers have not been dragged into it yet. So it's not a full blown world war yet, but it's going to become one. There are a few more prophecies, though, that have to come to pass beforehand. So, verse 7, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And that's basically race war, nation against nation. You have the nation of Israel, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, against the nation of Edom, which are the so-called white people. And then you have all the other nations or races going against each other. It says, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. And once again, these are some of the things that have to come to pass before World War III, fully takes off. The famines, the pestilences, like COVID. COVID was a pestilence. And apparently Esau is trying to, basically run that back and do something else that's like COVID, but not. It says, and earthquakes in diverse places. And there has been an uptick in earthquakes lately. All over the world, not just here in the U.S. Verse 8 says, all these are the beginning of sorrows. And that's right, because it's all going to get worse. Due to this war in Iran, the price of everything has started to go up. The price of gas, the price of groceries, the cost of living just continues to increase. So very soon there will be a famine. Very soon people are going to be, doing a lot of home invasions, just looking for food and water. People are going to be running up in these stores, just clearing out the shelves, but not actually buying the food. They just going to, entire, mobs of people are just going to run up in these stores and just clear them out because people need food. And the way that Esau is pushing things, a lot of people are not going to be able to afford to buy food. People can barely afford it now, along with everything else that they have to pay for. So a lot of people are starting to get into that desperate times call for desperate measures mode. And that's not going to end well. Yes, Salakia. Exodus 15:3, the Lord Yahweh is a man of war. The Lord Yahweh is his name. And that's right. And that's why there's going to be civil wars and race wars and ultimately nuclear world war. And so many people are going to die. And there's going to be so much destruction and devastation as a result. Because like it says in Luke 21:22, for these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. The famines, the pestilences, the civil war, the race wars, And ultimately, that nuclear world war will be some of the ways in which the Lord brings his vengeance upon all of these wicked people whom he is angry with every day, according to Psalm 7 and 11. See, these wicked people, they have to be punished. And these major judgments will be the way in which the Lord punishes them. And we are in that time. Like it says in 2 Timothy 3 and 1, this know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. When you look up the definition of perilous, it means full of danger or risk. And if you take a look at just the global status right now, the global economy is not looking good. You know, the world is on the verge of an economic collapse. And you know that when that happens, all hell is going to break loose. And it's going to break loose the worst here in the U.S. Because this is the main place, or this will be the main place of the Lord's wrath upon these wicked Babylonians. You know. So for all you sincere brothers and sisters, just stay locked in, stay circumspect, continue to watch and stay prayed up, because things are about to get very, very apocalyptic and catastrophic on this earth, especially here in the U.S. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up here. In closing, I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash, the Wadi Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, for putting the spirit on me to do this lesson. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honors to all the brothers who are fervently preaching the word in sincerity and in faith. And shalom to all the sincere believers, which includes the sincere Akwath, which are the sincere sisters, and the scattered Israelites who are amongst these heathen nations and look like these heathens. Hope you all stay strong, stay safe, stay fervent, stay circumspect, stay prayed up. Adawan Ratazah. Till next time, Shalom.